going to talk a bit about that first, that primary article, and I got to let you introduce yourself here.
Okay.
And I'm going to read my book. Oh, I'm not trying.
How's everybody doing? All right, y'all looking sharp. My name is Charles, and I'm a certified recovery coach. I'm also a person that's in long-term recovery. I was in long-term active addiction for many, many years, and Ms. Bernie asked me to come in to discuss with you because I understand this thing from like both sides, and it's not like that I'm a professional or anything. I hope to be, but I do have being a certified recovery coach and working in this field for a minute, and actually coming from a place where at one point in my life where I thought it was a choice when I saw my older brother using drugs, and I heard my mom say, "Why can't you just stop?" You know, she begged him, she pleaded with him to do everything, and then to pursue everything that he tried to do, and always fell short because of drug use. It was always him maybe stopping for a period of time, and then he would eventually go back. And I really just used to be like, why can't he just stop? But I was doing what I was doing too, but I thought I was okay. You understand what I'm saying? It was him because he was injecting heroin in his arm, and he was doing things, and I just thought that he was a little bit more worse off than I was, not knowing that the disease of addiction is about the thinking and the obsession and the compulsion, and not about the drugs. Because there are many people that are addicted to many things. We have people that are addicted to food, they're addicted to gambling, they're addicted to sex, cigarettes, anything that makes a person feel better, that they get attached to, they will continue to do it. And when it becomes a point where it no longer can help them move along in life, I like to say, or it hinders them moving forward, then it becomes a problem. And until it gets to that point, a lot of people don't realize that it's a problem. So I'm here just to share a little bit of me with you. I'm a student at Dutchess Community College. I go here, you might see me walking around. You can say hi. Not that, whatever your definition of an addict is, I'm a person in long-term recovery. I've been in recovery for 10 years, and now I'm coming up on 11 years. And thank you so much. And I really appreciate the fact that I do have a chance to come back and help people. I've dealt with law enforcement. I've dealt with kids. I've dealt with people who are in substance abuse, and still I go into treatment facilities. I also try to get involved with schools and adolescents to let them know that it all started out as a night of fun for me. At that point, I still had a choice. And what I'm going to share, because I do understand what Dr. Miller is talking about in this paper, because at some point in my life when I read this article, I could see me in it. But I also saw at one point where it was a choice. I didn't have to go out Friday night with my friends. You know what I'm saying? And when they said, do you want to hit this to make you, we have more fun? Or I was just seeking fun. I didn't know that like smoking a little weed and drinking a little wine, not out of the glass, but out of a bottle. We wasn't like, but I didn't know that it was going to lead to years and years of pain, hurt, misery. But there was something that happened. And then also in a lot of people's lives that I've done research with, things have happened to them long before they used the drugs. See, I believe that that like he says, the addiction is in the brain. It's a thought process. It's something that happens when I start to find something that make my endorphins jump around a little bit. And it's almost like your first date, and you don't know what's going to happen at the end, but what we want to happen at the end. It's something like that, like projecting a good feeling. And I foresee it, and I keep using and using and using. So I have some things, and I know I'm not going to be long, but if I can figure out how to work this would be just beautiful. So what do I got to do? Click on the arrow up? I'm going to mess around and cut it off.
Don't do that.
I know it. We're going to have to start from scratch. So I just want to I use my personal life along with what I learned. This is a friend of mine who allowed me to use his picture of him in active addiction. I know him very well because that's me. That's me. And I say that because maybe if I could cut the light out, man, you could just get a better look at this handsome fellow. Because this guy right here, he didn't have a choice. At this stage of his life, 19 years old, fresh out of high school. And I was a freshman in college when I took that picture. And I cut this off right here at a certain point because I didn't want to incriminate myself. That's not a cigarette. That is something. Okay, I'm still not going to incriminate myself. But it said, and I put this beside it, says the person who suffers from the disease of addiction has one main focus, and that is to get the thing that is going to fix the feeling of satisfaction or craving that the mind and the body is screaming for by any means necessary. The process they might use, it might be a negative behavior, but the choice at this stage is to get what they want without any worry of the consequences. They have no power to stop using, and the ability to make a healthy choice is lost. So when society sees a person who has this disorder and the behaviors that come with it, it is easy to say, look at that behavior. Why can't they just stop? They chose that path. When the underlying force is the thinking that has been changed to satisfy the reward system that is being tricked with the memory of the last experience that brought pleasure to the brain. Now, if you, which I'm sure no one in here has anything that they just like to do regardless of what the consequences are going to be, because I know we're all good people, you understand? But if you have, why I say that is because I went to college to play basketball. But I had some things going on with me that were left unaddressed. And I always was looking for a way to feel better about myself. So if you're getting into this field, will we have criminal justice majors? Let me, somebody, just a few people, let me know. Criminal justice, probation, criminal justice police officer, maybe some of y'all already cops, I don't know. Anybody, social workers maybe, social workers. So if you're looking to get in the field of substance abuse, you're going to be dealing with a very crafty brain that has been distorted, that makes him all about himself. I'm speaking about me now, all about himself. Me watching my brother suffer while I was suffering, but I could point at his suffering because I didn't want to identify my own suffering, made it easy for me to continue to use. The drugs that I used really didn't matter because I always used them all till they were all gone, and I wanted more after that. And I went to different extremes. The progression of the disease, the tolerance, the words you hear in class, you know, the dependence on crack cocaine was very high in my life at the end. PCP, angel dust, amphetamines. I kind of used a little bit of everything, but I started at 13 years old. So the question that makes it like, at what point was I not feeling good enough about myself where I thought a substance outside myself would make me feel better about myself? And I just started off very, very little, but because I have something inside of me in my brain that says, that felt good. You don't feel adopted anymore, Charles. You don't have to worry about who your daddy is anymore, Charles. You're high now. It's all good. That's your new thing that is going to make you feel good. So in doing that, here we go. Here we go. So why I say that is because I'm real passionate about it, but I also know that people look at addicts as somebody that always got a needle in their arm, or somebody that's pushing the shopping cart down the street, or thinking that they could stop, thinking they got a choice. I understand all of that, but at the end of the road, it was no choice for me. I was pushing the shopping cart down the street, talking to myself, sleeping in abandoned buildings. Days like this, I would seek coverage in a park or anywhere I could go just to get in. And I had my mom asking me, "Why can't you just? What is it? What's wrong? What's wrong with you?" A question that I've taken out of my vocabulary when I work with people, and I've changed that to "What happened to you?" It's a very important question because it calls for compassion and empathy to say, well, I was adopted at birth and I didn't know who my dad was, and I grew up in a single family home, and my social experiences through life and the environment that I grew up in, and because I'm black and all this other stuff, I got the people putting their foot on my neck because I grew up down south, racism and all this other stuff. Those were stresses in my life, no doubt. But the fact was, at one point, I didn't have to use drugs. I could have used education. I could have used so many other things, but it was something about the drugs because I believe that it's a brain disorder, and it's not merely a behavior problem. What I did to obtain the drugs when I could no longer get them in a nice way, I did break the law. It required it. It wasn't something that I felt like I had a choice not to do. Because when my mom or nobody else would give me more money, I had to do what I had to do to get more money. So this guy in this article, do they have copies of this?
Yeah,
We just,
they have
they have
it.
copies? So one thing I like, when I was speaking about the other article, I need to say something real quick. The other article that says something about 12-step sober support programs, in one of those articles, it said that you have to be a member, and if you don't adhere to the certain thing about not using it at all, that you'll be kicked out. I'm here to let you know that if you or yourself or any family member are involved in a 12-step sober support community network, that's not true. That's not true. That those groups and in the community are put there for anybody that's willing and wants to get help. Even if you can't stop using the substance that you're using, you're still welcome there. Because there was something about finding out about what I dealt with the disease. And the disease expresses itself. It's things that are up here. It's sex, gambling, and alcohol. The disease has a way of expressing itself in ways that are antisocial, right? So it makes detection, diagnosis, and treatment very difficult. That's why the relapse process happens in a lot of people's lives who are in recovery, who get clean, like the statistics about the veterans coming home from Vietnam. Partially true, but because of them coming home, the other part that I did some research on when I read the article was that they were just talking about heroin. But I also go to the VA and do substance abuse counseling with veterans. And let me tell you something right now. A lot of them made 19 and 20 years old. You want to know how they're old men that are in there. So what they use, maybe not heroin again, but because the disease of addiction is not about the drugs, it's about the thinking, they used other drugs. A lot of vets use amphetamine, cocaine, crack, alcohol, to the extent where they had to go get help. Montrose, the VA hospital is full. It's full. And not to mention what comes along with the other mental disorders that they came back from Vietnam with, and the other soldiers too. So when we're talking about it, but the noticeable behaviors that one sees in a person who is obsessed and their focus is getting more drugs, money, or whatever, if they are addicted to it by any means necessary, this behavior is seen as a problem. So yes, my family thought it was a problem that TVs vanished. They just thought it was a problem. You know, I couldn't see it as a problem. It was just like, I don't know where it went. I hope you look for it though. That's how I was in my thinking. Very sneaky, couldn't trust me. I would lie to spite my face, and I would tell you anything that I needed to tell you to get what I wanted. So the behaviors are really a manifestation of the disease, because my thinking says that if you don't get it, I'm going to hurt. I'm going to be in pain. Opioid addiction, withdrawal is pain. And speaking from a personal experience, withdrawing from heroin was one of the most painful things I went through at the age of 16. At 16 years old, I was withdrawing from heroin, and I thought I was going to die. It hurt so bad that I told my mom, Mom, I think I'm going to die. I feel just that bad. And the only way that but this is what my brain was saying. If you get just a little bit more heroin, your pain will stop. Your pain, the physical, but they never talked to me about the emotional and spiritual pain that I was in. So if we could go to the next one. And you know what? And I'm going to leave y'all some time for questions, because I'm just going through here because addiction is chronic. I'm also, why I can say that, because I'm also a diabetic. And if I don't treat my behaviors towards diabetes, I eat wrong. You understand what I'm saying? So I understand why at some point it becomes a choice with treatment. I don't eat Oreo cookies like I used to. I might sneak one or two when my wife sleep every now and then, you know. But if she see me or my son sees me eating, he's, Daddy, you're not supposed to be, because the word is out. Just like when I was using drugs, when I came to the house, the word was out. He's in town, lock your doors, put your cars up, hide your, cut the lights out. The music will be playing when I knocked on the door. But they'll look out the curtain, see it was me, lights go off, music gets shut off, ain't nobody home. Because they didn't want to deal with that. Because they knew I didn't care about that. So the person's judgment and impulse control have been altered, so that the pursuit of the rewards usually gets them involved in unhealthy behaviors and antisocial behaviors and criminal activities, because of their distorted thinking and feelings and perceptions. And I say that because with almost 11 years of no substance in my body, I don't think about breaking the law anymore. I had a little run while I was getting speeding tickets, but because my thinking has changed, guess what I do on 55 when I'm going back to Brewster? I do 56. I don't do 82 like they clocked me at a couple of weeks ago. My wife said, you know, you got 3 speeding tickets. I got a ticket in Pennsylvania. I was doing 86. The police said, where you going? I told them, I don't know. I'm just driving. It was like, I wasn't paying attention. I was talking, doing whatever, but it's my thinking. So this guy right here, I don't know. I want you to see him because he's a friend of mine also. I made friends with a lot of bad people along the way. This guy here, that's me. But this picture saddens me because I was just coming home from prison. And my friends threw me a welcome home party. It was funny. They never threw me a birthday party. They never threw a birthday party for me. But I came home from prison and they threw me a welcome home party. So what I'm talking about also is the social environment that I was in taught me that some things were okay as I was growing up. And this lifestyle that I was in right here was dangerous, deadly, and my mom didn't know if I was going to be able to make it another day out of this lifestyle. And now with Dr. Miller, who spoke about it, I'm not going to quote everything he said, but as I come to, what time is this over? I got about 5 minutes. So as I start to close this out and give you a chance to ask me a couple of questions, you could go, you know what, this is on the paper. It's just, I just put the quote. So the last thing that he said is, that makes sense to me. He said, many chronic diseases require behavior choices, such as people with heart disease choosing to eat healthier or beginning exercising. In addition to medical or surgical interventions, so we have to stop moralizing, blaming, controlling, or smirking at the person with the disease of addiction and start creating opportunities for individuals and families to get help and providing assistance in choosing proper treatment. I had to go to treatment. I had to go get help. They had to remove me from society because my thoughts and my thinking had to be addressed. But there was something that I had to do first, which was admit that I had a disease, that I had something that was incurable, that was fatal, and that would kill me if left untreated, just like cancer would, just like the diabetes would, just like any other disease that's considered chronic would. And as I started to get the treatment, which was in my thinking, and they removed me, and I started to do healthier things for my mind, body, and spirit, that's how I got to this place today of serenity, where my past doesn't bother me anymore like it used to. Can you click to the next one? And this is me today, right? But there's also another one. I think this is just me, and like I'm a certified. I do this. This is what I do. I love doing it. I'm not ashamed of my past because of the pain that I went through in sleeping outside in abandoned buildings, being locked up in prison, my family not knowing where I was. If that pain that I went through can help just one person not go through what I went through, I feel like it was worth all that I went through. You know, and is it another one? Do I have another? That's it. No, it's another. Go to the next one. I want you to see this because this is the real good stuff, and then I'm gonna shut up. I don't think I got. Yes, you do. No, I don't. Go to the file. Oh.
Oh.
Because this is what this is. Come on now.
All right, there it is.
Yeah, go to this one. Go to this one right here. Just click to this one. Okay. That's my page on Facebook. You can send me messages or check with me, but this right here, and I'm gonna stop crying. Okay, it's okay. I'm gonna make soft. This is me today. That person who was eating out the dumpster with my wife and my son that just turned 9 years old. This is me at basketball. And the words that he put is, I love you, Dad. And I put that picture there because I never had the opportunity to say, I love you, Dad. One of the scariest things ever was growing up without a dad. I know that. So I hope that I gave you some insight on just the thought pattern of a person, a real life person. You know, I'm not freaking Johnny Depp or any one of them dudes on the movies who smoke and wake up in somebody's house and they don't see it, and I'm not that dude. But I just wanted you to understand that there's hope, and God bless you for being in whatever field that you choose to be in of human services to help people. Because I guarantee you the best thing that you're ever going to feel is when one of those persons come back and look you in the eye and say thank you. Or that mom looks you in the face and say thank you for saving my son. Thank you. So with that, if y'all have any questions, my name is Charles. Thank y'all for listening and being polite to me.
At a certain point, once it just got to be so hard.
Yes. At the the end when I couldn't take what I had done. The degradation to myself in my own eyes. At some point, I started letting myself down. And that's when I started to really feel, along with the guilt and the shame of everything I had done in my past, of not being able to just stop.
So
You know,
it wasn't even pleasure like chasing the dragon. It was like,
yeah, take me out. I was doing it at the end to die. It wasn't fun no more. Thank you. Thank you so much. I've seen both cases, but for me, my personal experience, I'm from Virginia. I live in New York now. I visit home for about a day and I'm back in New York in my safe confines. I had to go away. Some people don't. It depends on the person and it also depends on what kind of treatment. A lot of times, if we get around the same people that we got high with in treatment, we have a tendency to talk about the same things we talked about in the street. So it doesn't change the thinking. Hi.
What caused you to admit to yourself that you had a problem?
Okay. One night, and this might sound crazy, it was like a movie was playing of my whole life, 11 years ago. And I just saw everything that I had been through. I felt the pain of my mom. I felt the pain of my sister asking where's her twin brother at. I felt my aunts and I just kind of all came to the pain and to the desperation that I felt because I was ready to die. I was ready to die by any means necessary. And then that's when I said, I need help. And that admittance came after I got to treatment, after I started to take a look at what my life had really become. I was a straight bum. I had everything I owned in a little suitcase. My wife dropped me off and took off. It wasn't like, see you later, honey, I'll be back. Hope we can make it work. It wasn't none of that. It was her. And she was gone. So it was desperation, if I could put it in one word, desperation.
what happened to your brother?
My brother, he died from HIV 22 years ago. One of the saddest, most hurtful deaths I've ever seen. I watched him get eaten alive. 20-something years ago was a death sentence. They didn't have the treatments that they have today. And I saw this disease eat him from the inside out. At 42 years old, he passed away from the virus. He left a beautiful daughter.
One person. What a miracle.
Yeah, and that's my aspiration, is to help as many people as I can, but knowing that some people got to go through what they have to go through, and some of them have to go through some things that they're not going to make it through alive. In Putnam County, they bury at least, as they do in Dutchess, I'm sure, but the funeral director said that never in his career of doing funeral services, is 25, 30 years in Putnam County, and Carmel, had he ever had a funeral going on for 2 teenagers at the same time on the same day. And that's happening a lot with the epidemic, quote unquote. I got my own theory. That's another class, but of the drug issue, that's going on. So, if you know anybody that needs help, I have my cards. Everything I do is confidential. I didn't come here to promote that. It's just an opportunity, because when I look into the eyes of people in this field, I know in my heart that there's a reason why you do what you do. None of my business right now, but there's a reason why you're doing what you do. So with that, if we have any more questions, I know y'all gotta go. I don't want to hold you up, but I'll be here for questions after also.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.